All right, new data here on this Thursday night as we're watching the cold northwest flow start from the Great Lakes into the mid-Atlantic, even into the southeast. Temperatures are going to get cold, and look at this. We've not looked at this map just yet, but we are right now. Wind chill values as we head into Monday, cold. In fact, look at these numbers into the mountains of West Virginia, getting below zero, into the single digits, even down into parts of North Carolina, Southwest Virginia, parts of Ohio. It's going to be chilly Monday night for sure. Would not be shocking to see wind chill advisories come out, and there is some snow on the way as this incredible cold air wraps up. I'm going to back this up. Look how this is moving down from Canada, and we start to see this just wrap around. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this pocket of cold air right here. It's kind of pinwheeling to the south. Boom, right there it goes. We're going to talk about that in today's video because as it crosses the mountains, the southern Appalachians, I think this is going to enhance the snow here. Also, downwind of Lake Michigan, as this cold air drops through Illinois, Indiana, there's some vorticity with this spin in the atmosphere. It's going to create a little bit of lift, enough to squeeze some snow showers out. And if it can happen at the right time of day, it might even extend a little bit further east of the mountains here. Otherwise, it's cold across a lot of the country. We start to see warmer temperatures, though, as we get toward now Tuesday and Wednesday spread east, and then the storm track changes up heading into next weekend. This right here could be super active across the west. Man, let me tell you, now we're looking at a storm track today that's much further to the south with a strong low moving up through the plains. This is the signal that was showing up a couple of days ago. Tonight, it's back. All right, let's look at the upper level pattern. Also, on top of that, the surface map as we head through Friday. An area of low pressure moving through the Great Lakes. That's going to bring some light snow into parts of southern Ontario, into Quebec. Rain showers further east from New York all the way down into the deep south. We'll see some showers across Tennessee, Alabama, into Georgia, all the way to the coast. As this front moves through, temperatures will drop. We're watching this piece of energy, this clipper that starts to drop out of the northern plains. It's going to bring some snow into the Dakotas. The cold Arctic air now surging south. We're going to watch this piece of energy start to get a little more energized and some snow on the north side of it. We'll dig in a little bit closer. It does include parts of Michigan into parts of southern Ontario, just north of Toronto. I think that's where the heaviest snow is going to be. And then on the backside of this, we've got some light snow showers across Minnesota, Wisconsin. This right here is the bulk of the cold air. You're turning the lake effect snow machine on as we head into Monday. A huge plume of moisture coming off of Lake Michigan, some cold air aloft. We could see snow as far south as Indianapolis to Louisville. Once this hits the Cumberland Plateau, a little bit of lift here. You push that air up and over the higher elevation, and you squeeze the snow out. And then it again intersects the mountains here across West Virginia, down into Tennessee, Western Virginia, into North Carolina. And if this can be timed out right, maybe, again, a little bit of snow on the east side of the mountains. A big low wrapping up here into eastern Quebec, some heavy snow. We're going to look at this too. But otherwise, look at the Arctic connection all the way from Alaska into the Northwest Territories to the Gulf Coast. A big cool down on the way, and the snow showers linger into the Northeast through Wednesday. More light snow across eastern Canada as we head through the week. This back here, guys, is the next system that we're talking about heading into next weekend. The newest European, bringing in some rain and snow into the southwest. This could be the first significant winter storm I think that we've seen at least this strong in the southwest. And look, this could be a big snowstorm that we're looking at not this weekend, but next weekend, sometime around the 16th and 17th as this rides up the plains. Your pattern's changing up across Greenland too, and that opens the door, I think, for this type of setup. More on that in just a second. Let's look at the snow totals. This is the European from earlier today. If you take this out in time, it's starting to pick up on all that snow that's trying to develop next weekend into the following week. A closer look at the snow in and around the Great Lakes. This will be an interesting area to watch here into southern Michigan. And by the way, if you're enjoying these updates, we do live updates during snowstorms, during the winter, as new model data comes out. This is the second update today. So if you're watching it live, you can take it back from the beginning, or you can come back at your leisure. Try to do these at least once a day, sometimes twice a day. But new data coming in, a little bit lighter on the snow across southern Michigan. I was kind of wondering how strong that was going to be. If you went back to last night's run, it was a little stronger. And if we were really to go back to yesterday evening's run, it was trying to do something weird here north of Detroit. Today, we've clearly seen that dial back quite a bit. This, to me, looks more realistic and definitely realistic on the lake effect that starts to pick up. I think it might be overdoing things here. It tries to swing some of that a little bit further to the east here over towards Fort Wayne. I don't know if it gets that far east, but we're definitely seeing the lighter snow to the south, but it picks up once it hits the mountains, and there could be a coating to a couple of inches into parts of Ohio. Let's get in a little bit closer. We'll start in the northeast and work our way west on these snow totals. A little bit of snow falling through Sunday here across Quebec into northern parts of Maine. Not a lot. We hold off until Sunday night into Monday. This is the heaviest band, I think, from Toronto, north and east. Maybe a little bit of snow down towards Montreal. Doesn't look like a lot. The heaviest snow, in my mind, looks just north and west of here, and then more snow on the way as we head through the week. Downwind of the lakes, check it out. More lake effect snow. This takes you through what now? Into Wednesday? So we're starting to see our winds veer a little bit more westerly. Down here towards Buffalo, a little bit of light snow. I think the heaviest snow once you head south of town and you get down here downwind of Lake Erie, just because your wind's coming in more of out of the northwest. So even Rochester, Syracuse, a little bit of light snow. Certainly not a huge lake effect snow event for this area where we typically can see huge snow events. All right, once this snow drops to the south, this is an area to watch, I think. Here into parts of Kentucky, you get a little bit of elevation rise here as you go up on the Cumberland Plateau. Then the air sinks, right, once you get here into parts of Tennessee. So that downsloping flow keeping the snow down into parts of eastern Tennessee. So Knoxville up to the Tri-Cities. But once you get north here of, say, Abingdon, get up here to the higher elevations of southwest Virginia, from Mount Rogers, south toward the Smokies into western North Carolina, Boone, you get down here towards Mount Mitchell. We're going to squeeze some snow out. And then in southern West Virginia, from Bluefield up to Beckley, and then northeast of that into eastern West Virginia, especially here, Snowshoe up to Canaan Valley, several inches of snow. I think somebody sees 6, 8, maybe even close to a foot, especially at the highest peaks. Otherwise, look at this. Even the lowlands of West Virginia, Huntington, Charleston, maybe a coating up to 2 inches, and up towards Chillicothe, Ohio. Dayton, maybe some light snow here, and then back further to the north into Ohio. We are going to see some snow back towards Toledo, Columbus. Heavier snow, though, under this band. You're going to get a pretty good fetch off of Lake Michigan with this type of setup, with winds coming in out of the north and then kind of curving. So big snow just off the lake. More snow, too, into the UP of Michigan as we get the snow going with that cold air loft, and then lighter snow amounts back across Wisconsin. Not a big deal here, but just an idea that it's going to turn cold enough to snow is enough winter for some of you, I understand. Further to the west, a little bit of snow across the Dakotas, and this light streak is going to be extending across the prairies. That's going to be that clipper dropping south through the weekend. And then look, more snow on the way heading into next week, especially up here into northern Canada, where we're continuing to build that snowpack. Guys, this is where your cold air is growing. More cold weather, I think, as we head into December after a bit of a warm-up. And I do want to look at the snow across the southwest. We're not zooming in too close here, but you get the idea. It's high elevation snow. Clearly, it's not going to snow in Phoenix, but get up towards Flagstaff. You get up towards the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Some snow on the way here, too, into the Wasatch, the Colorado Rockies, the Bitterroot, the Sawtooth. We're going to see snow here into the Sierra. The Sierra could get some big snow if this system moves in the way it looks like it's going to move in. Let's look at this, and we'll work our way across the country, and we'll follow these systems over the next couple of days. Again, if you're joining the live stream, you can back it up and take it from the beginning. We've talked about several areas of snow, but here comes our Clipper system, living up to its name, Alberta Clipper, starting here in the western provinces of Canada, dropping south. What is it? The Alberta Clipper. I always get this mixed up. Alberta Clipper, Saskatchewan Screamer, or is it a Manitoba Mauler? I think this is an Alberta Clipper. Dropping through Saskatchewan, though, into the Dakotas, a little bit of snow on the north side of this, and then it moves east, and then we get pretty warm across the west as we get into Monday and Tuesday, and then the next storm takes aim here, heading into Wednesday night into Thursday. Snow picking up into the Cascade, or there will be some snow into the Cascades, but especially here into the Sierra. As this cold air moves in, snow levels will likely drop. Boy, this brings some heavy rain and snow, possible into parts of Southern California, into the far southwest. This is really impressive looking. We've not seen anything quite like this. And this kicks east of the mountains, your potential for some heavy snow out on the plains, it's there still. We've got a long way to go before we get there. Let's get through what we're dealing with now. Here comes your Alberta Clipper dropping to the south and east, Rain to snow across Minnesota, also Iowa. Not a lot, a little bit though. Flurries, some flakes. That cold air drops south. This is the core. The coldest air is right in this region, dropping south, right? As it does so, underneath it, enough instability that we'll see those snow showers and your winds at this point howling off of Lake Michigan, Lake Superior. We're getting that lake effect snow moving as far south as Kentucky and Tennessee. Yep, you heard me right. That lake effect moisture can be picked up and transported hundreds of miles to the south and east, and that's what we're going to see with this setup. And that all settles down as we head into Wednesday. Quieter weather through the middle part of the week. And here comes that next storm. Once it gets east of the mountains, the newest European wants to take that column of air, let it start to stretch, develops low pressure on the east side of the mountains, and it wraps it up. More to come on this one. That is a long way away. Let's look at the cold air. This is your air temperatures. We're on the way down, heading into Friday. And then as we head into Saturday, here comes the real cold. This is not a wind chill map. These are actual air temperatures dropping back into the teens, lower teens maybe into parts of North Dakota. Highs not getting out of the 20s, barely getting to 30 for places like Minneapolis. Another cold night heading into Sunday night into Monday morning, and then we'll start to see some warming, at least first here across the plains, a little bit further to the east into Iowa, and then we'll start to see that push east, even into Kentucky and Tennessee, where we'll be back in the 50s, even 60s as far north as central Illinois. Let's go east. This is where I think things get meteorologically exciting. All right, I'm not saying I love the snow, but I want to show you what I'm talking about. Cold front moves through. Not a lot to get too excited about meteorologically here. We've got some synoptic rain and snow. That's that large-scale feature. It's being driven by these weather systems and this cold air loft. This moves east. The showers move east too, so some wet weather through Saturday morning across the east. Once we get into Saturday night, here comes our Clipper system. This area of low pressure starts to develop across Ohio, and then it lifts north and east. So some snow possible across southern parts of Michigan. It could get heavy at times, and that continues to lift off to the north and east. Look what happens here, though. Some heavy snow, maybe just to the north and west of Hamilton, out towards London, Toronto. North of that, I think, especially north of Toronto, some heavy snow, and then that starts to spin off to the north and east. This is all driven by your area of low pressure. Here comes the lake effect, though, behind this system as it departs. The meteorological feature that I think we've got to pay attention to is this pocket of cold air aloft and where it goes. It's moving across Illinois, and it's headed this way, toward the mountains. That moisture also intersecting the mountains at an almost perfect angle, and as that cold air moves across parts of Tennessee, Kentucky, I think it's going to be cold enough aloft that you get that instability, so there's going to be some snowflakes flying, and that moves into North Carolina. Here's the question. Look at the time above me. This is Monday night. Those of you east of the mountains, Richmond, Raleigh, Charlotte, will you see some snow out of this? Winston-Salem. I don't think it's going to be anything to write home about, but look how this cold pocket of air loft moves right overhead at the perfect time. If you were going to see snow, it's in the middle of the night into the early morning hours when it's the coldest. The European says we could see a few flakes of snow from D.C., maybe mixing in down to Richmond. Would not be shocked if some of this spills east of the mountains here into parts of North Carolina. Again, not a big deal, but it gives you an idea how cold it is. And if you're looking for a few flakes, I'm telling you, there's a chance. Once we get into Tuesday, our winds start to change across the northeast. They become a little more westerly, and with that, your lake effect snow bands shift a little bit too. So instead of coming down into Cleveland and Erie, although Erie may still see a little bit, you start to see that snow line up west to east, and it also starts to calm down some. Notice the green too. As we lose the cold, we start to see things transition over to rain, and then another shot of some cold air for the northeast by the end of next week. Otherwise, temperatures on the way up across the south, across parts of the Midwest, and then we see our big storm that's potentially on the table next week across the plains. More to come on that. Here's a look at your air temperatures, and then we're going to look at the long-range outlook heading into December. Warm through Friday. Here comes the cold. You start to see it across Minnesota, Wisconsin, into Michigan, further south into Illinois, Indiana, and then the real cold moves in pretty far to the south. Look at Georgia, down into the 30s, highs in the 40s, barely getting to 40 for Atlanta, into the mid-40s on Tuesday, staying below freezing in the mountains, and then we'll rebound some as we head into Wednesday. This upper level pattern being driven I should say the cold is being driven by this upper level pattern that we're seeing. A lot of blocking across Greenland. It's got everything really messed up, I guess, across the Arctic, and we're pulling that cold air south. Here's what's going to happen. This blocking, though, across Greenland is going to start to relax as this big storm moves this way. As this weakens some, to me, as you start to see the North Atlantic Oscillation, that's one of those bigger teleconnections. But basically what's happening, you're starting to see this ridge break down across the North Atlantic. As you're seeing that, in my mind, that opens the door for some ridging and some warmer weather across the east, and then maybe a storm that develops across the Colorado region, moves across the southwest, and then north and east. This type of setup supports that. That's all I'm saying at this point. More to come. Let's look long range now. Heading into the end of the month, the European weeklies. This is the 7-day average. Looking at the middle layer of the atmosphere, we are definitely going to see some colder weather. At least it's showing up across the west. And then as we head into the end of the month, toward the 1st of December, I still think you can see this overall pattern. Now, they get kind of flat here as you average out the models. But look where the trough axis is. I've been talking about this the last couple of days. It's here across the east, some ridging up across Alaska. To me, this looks like a cold setup. More winter storms. I think we're just getting started. December could be a wild ride with some colder weather across a good part of the central and eastern U.S. with this setup. If you've not subscribed, hope you will. See you next time.